Welcome to XIO Voice. Continuing from the previous episode 193. A faint, cold laugh sounded within the front yard, causing Showdown's expression to become much darker and more solemn. He turned his head, and his eyes landed on a door leading to the front yard. Two figures slowly appeared at that spot. I was wondering why the Yi clan had suddenly become so firm. It has found quite a number of helpers. Showdown watched Xiaoyan and the little fairy doctor as they slowly walked over. The corner of his mouth moved slightly as he spoke with a cold laugh. Xiaoyan looked at this man in front of him, who appeared quite young. His eyes paused for a moment on the badge on his chest and some surprise flashed across them. This Shao clan was indeed worthy of being an alchemist family. The younger generation that it had groomed was actually this strong. It was the first time in all these years that Xiaoyan had seen such a young Tier 7 alchemist. Of course, Xiaoyan did not feel surprised that the other party was able to gain such an achievement. The continent was very vast and there would definitely be some pill-refining geniuses. This, along with the grooming of an alchemist family like the Shao clan from a young age, their achievements would naturally be far from what an ordinary alchemist could compare with. If I remember correctly, you should be called Xiaoyan, right? This person is the woeful poison lady who stirred a great commotion within the pill region? Showdown's eyes lingered over Xiaoyan and the little fairy doctor before speaking with a faint smile. Xiaoyan stopped beside Tianhuo Zunjie. He smiled and softly said, "The style of the Shao clan is indeed quite grand. Mr. Xiaoyan, this person is called Showdown. He is known as a pill refinement genius that comes once in 100 years within the Shao clan. Despite his young age, he has already reached the level of a Tier 7 alchemist. He is also quite well known in this pill region." Yi Zhang softly explained who he was to Xiaoyan. Xiaoyan smiled and nodded. His eyes landed on Showdown and said, "Young Master Showdown, the matter between the Yi and Shao clan is just a small grudge. Why don't each of you take a step back?" A chill flashed across Showdown's eyes as he looked at Xiaoyan's smiling face. He faintly said, "Take a step back? How will my Shao clan account to the outside world? Back then, my Shao clan had made a public announcement after the Yi clan came to talk about this marriage. If we fail to marry now, would the Shao clan not lose a great amount of face? Can this still be considered a small grudge? In that case, young Master Showdown is insisting on bringing her with you today?" Xiaoyan slowly took a step forward and softly laughed. Showdown narrowed his eyes in the face of Xiaoyan's somewhat bullying demeanor. With his pill-refining talent, seldom would any member of the younger generation treat him like this during all these years. Showdown not only did not take a step back as he looked at Xiaoyan in front of him, instead, he took a step forward. The gap between Xiaoyan and him was a short foot. His eyes stared at Xiaoyan as he said, "Xiaoyan, I have heard about you and know that you are able to fight, but you should get things right. My Shao clan is not the Ice River Valley. As long as my Shao clan utters the word, even you would likely feel an extreme headache. I even dared to kill a member of the Hall of Souls. Do you think that your Shao clan is even more difficult to deal with than the Hall of Souls?" Xiaoyan slowly spread his 5 fingers as he calmly replied. Showdown's expression finally changed upon hearing this. With the ability of the Shao clan to summon helpers, it could indeed be comparable to the Ice River Valley. However, by comparing it to the Hall of Souls, their Shao clan would lose that qualification. After all, the Hall of Souls stood shoulder to shoulder with the Pill Tower. Their Shao clan was merely relying on the Pill Tower. How could they be compared to the Hall of Souls? Xiaoyan, I know that you are bold, but sometimes, you should be a little more rational. These people might not be able to bring Xin Lan away, but the next time we come, I believe that just the 2 elite dozuns behind you would be of little use. My Shao clan does possess this ability. With Showdown's pride, it was naturally impossible for him to submit to Xiaoyan. Therefore, he immediately and coldly laughed as he responded in a deep voice. Offending the Shao clan for the Yi clan is really not worthwhile. If you are willing, my Shao clan will welcome you as a friend. Xiaoyan smiled and shook his head. He said, "Forget it, young Master Showdown. What you have said does not attract me. Please leave today. I will not hand Xin Lan to you." "Xiaoyan, you better know the situation," Showdown furiously cried out. His expression sank after being rejected by Xiaoyan in such a straightforward manner. Xiaoyan faintly smiled. Both of his hands were crossed in front of him as he studied Cao Dan. He did not show any signs of giving in. Cao Dan's expression became graver after being looked at by Xiao Yan in this manner. The gray-robed, old man's wrinkle-filled face was scrunched. Immediately, he took a slow step forward. You will remain behind if you take another step forward. Just this one-star Dozun's strength of yours does not have the qualification to behave atrociously here. The gray-robed, old man had just stepped forward when the white figure in front of him flashed. A clear, cold voice was transmitted into his ears. The gray-clothed, old man's expression changed slightly upon hearing her words. His eyes stared at the little fairy doctor in front of him and a fearful expression flashed across them. He could sense that the little fairy doctor was also an elite Dozun. Moreover, her level was likely even higher than his. The words of the little fairy doctor had just sounded when it appeared to have broken the tense swords-drawn atmosphere. All the people from the Cao clan, including the two red-robed, old men, suddenly took a few steps forward. Majestic auras rippled over this place like a wave, forming a great pressure. HMPH. Tianhuo Zun Jie let out a cold snort after seeing the two red-robed, old men step forward. He also took a step forward and appeared on Xiao Yan's left side. A mighty aura surged out and suppressed the auras of nearly 100 people on the opposite side. Why? Is young Master Cao Dan planning to use force? However, just a one-star Dozun alone does not appear to be able to suffice. Xiao Yan faintly smiled as he commented. Xiao Yan, you should not be so pleased with yourself. Offending my Cao clan is not something fun. Even if we end up failing this time around, there will definitely be an even stronger lineup coming the next time around. What can you do at that time? A cold glint flashed across Cao Dan's eyes when he spoke. He turned his eyes to Yi Zhang's group as he coldly laughed. At that time, this group would at the very most just leave. However, the Yi clan will likely become the target for the Cao clan to vent its anger. It is likely that the Yi clan would be removed from the Pill region in the future. The expressions of Yi Zhang's group involuntarily changed upon hearing this. However, what other path did the Yi clan have at this moment? If they lost Xiao Yan, the Yi clan would completely decline. Moreover, if they abandoned Xiao Yan and complied with the marriage between the Cao and Yi clan, it was likely that the Yi clan would also be removed very soon. Yi Zhang did not believe that the Cao clan would genuinely help the Yi clan recover its former glory. The reason the Cao clan was acting in this manner was merely to swallow the Yi clan and strengthen the Cao clan. The Yi clan will act on Mr. Xiao Yan's orders. Yi Zhang's eyes flickered for a moment before he made up his mind. After which, he cupped his hands respectfully to Xiao Yan's back and spoke in a deep voice. Cao Dan's expression turned gloomier upon seeing him bow. His voice was dark and cold as he said, "All right, you, Yi Zhang, are really becoming bolder and bolder." Yi Zhang was too lazy to bother with Cao Dan's cynicism. No matter what the case was, a grudge between the Yi and Cao clan had indeed been formed. Young Master Cao Dan, please leave. Xiao Yan spoke in a calm voice. Yi Zhang's choice had caused him to be a little surprised. This old fellow had placed all of his chips on Xiao Yan. If anything happened to Xiao Yan midway through, it was likely that the Yi clan would be completely finished. Cao Dan's expression was volatile. He would not simply be chased away empty-handed. However, if he wanted to use force, the other party had two elite Dozuns and need not fear his side. After musing for a long while, Cao Dan's eyes suddenly swept over Xiao Yan's body. He inquired, "It is rumored that you are also an alchemist?" "I do know something about pill refining," Xiao Yan randomly replied. It seemed that this fellow was indeed unwilling to simply give up. "In that case, do you dare to make a bet with me? If I lose, the Cao clan can choose not to have this marriage. However, if I win, you will not get involved in this matter. What do you say?" A cold smile flashed across Cao Dan's face as he asked. "Oh." Xiao Yan lifted his eyebrows. He appeared to be a little interested as he inquired with a smile, "May I know how young Master Cao Dan is intending to gamble?" The cold smile in Cao Dan's heart swiftly widened after seeing Xiao Yan show some interest. If they were to really fight with Do Qi, it was likely that he would not be a match for Xiao Yan. However, if it came to competing with pill refinement skill, he would let Xiao Yan know that he was attempting to be impressive in front of a true master, seeking his own humiliation in the process. Ridicule flashed across Cao Dan's heart. However, the smile on his face appeared brilliant as he replied, "Since we are both alchemists, we naturally cannot fight like those chuffs. We should follow the rules of alchemists. Let's challenge each other in terms of playing with fire." A cluster of faint black flames suddenly rose from Cao Dan's hand once his words sounded. Immediately, the cluster wiggled in his palm. It transformed into two dark black, small snakes that continuously slid around his finger, appearing as obedient as spirits. "Mr. Xiao Yan, do not promise him. Cao Dan possesses an unusually great talent when it came to controlling flames. Even in the Cao clan, one can count the number of people who surpass him with one's fingers." Yi Zhang hurriedly piped in upon hearing Cao Dan's words. Surprise flashed across Xiao Yan's eyes when he heard this. It was unexpected that Cao Dan possessed such a talent in terms of flame control. "What do you say? If you don't dare accept the challenge, you can just say the word. I am not a person who will make things difficult for others." Cao Dan stared at Xiao Yan as he coldly smiled. The words, "make things difficult for others," really appear a little comical when uttered from your mouth. Xiao Yan grinned and shook his head, ignoring Cao Dan's sinking expression. "Don't use your glib tongue. Are you going to compete? If you are not, I might end up returning with nothing. However, the people who will arrive next time will not be so easy to deal with." Cao Dan coldly said. He felt some fury leaping within his heart when he saw the smile on Xiao Yan's face. "Since you like it, I will accompany you." Xiao Yan smiled. That smile contained a cunningness no matter how one looked at it. Xiao Yan had never competed with others in terms of playing with fire before. However, the only thing he was aware of was that he specialized in this.